What do you miss most about travel nursing?
I miss it a lot, I must say.
Like I said, you're there to help them and they do appreciate that. What's different about us in travel nursing is that our nurses are not just signing up for a job, they're signing up for an experience. Hey everyone, it's Nurse Kelly. You may know me as Miss Colorado 2015 from the Miss America competition, the nurse with the stethoscope that started the whirlwind of craziness with The View. And I'm here at the USSI headquarters in Torrance, California. And we are bringing you a roundtable discussion. We have a bunch of wonderful people on this panel, and we want to do a roundtable about travel nursing and answer a lot of the questions that you all have been sending in to us. And so we have some outside sources and we want to give you that information. So that's who I am, and I would like to introduce the rest of the panel. So we'll start with the VP here at USSI, David Dean.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am the Vice President of Sales and Client Services for United Staffing Solutions. We are a nationwide travel nursing service focused on providing people with great experiences all over the country for travel nursing. Our core values are honesty, integrity, and transparency. In this roundtable, and my goal joining this roundtable really is to talk with some like-minded people about what's going on in the industry and educating more people about what travel nursing is and how beneficial it is to your nursing career, some of the things that you can gain from it, some of the trials and tribulations that people have. We want to hit on everything. That being said, I'll pass it over to Patricia, also known as God's Design on YouTube.
Hi, my name is Patricia, and I am a registered nurse. I currently work in New York City at a pretty large magnet hospital now. I spent about 2 years traveling. My objective was two things. I just love traveling, and the second thing, I really wanted to, maximize my time by working with different facilities and different, clinical environments so that I could really just better my skills. So that was my objective with travel nursing. I ended up here in New York City on an assignment, and I, did so well here that they decided to keep me. They didn't want me to go. How I say it is that I got kidnapped, right? So that's like the running joke where I am right now. So I love what I do, and I must say that if it wasn't for traveling, I would have never ended up here and, wouldn't have this type of opportunity. So I'm very passionate about nursing, which is why I do have my YouTube channel, and I have a series on there called The Nurse's Note. And most of the time my sister and I, who is also a nurse, mom's a nurse, several nurses in our family, just a family of nurses, we come on and we talk about, nursing in general. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Patricia, one question for you. What do you miss most about travel nursing?
I miss it a lot, I must say. I have the type of personality where I like to try new things, and I love being in a new environment, a new state, new city, new unit. I just like new things, and so I like it because it's a challenge. And not that I'm not challenged, where I am now, but I just like the traveling aspect of it and being able to try, new things every once in a while.
Very exciting.
Hey, I'm excited about you coming on, Brittany, as well. Brittany is an experienced travel licensed practical nurse, and she is currently on assignment in Arizona, currently with us from her RV where she is living. So Brittany, you want to tell us about yourself?
Sure. I'm Brittany. I am a licensed practical nurse. Prior to being here in Arizona, I was in Colorado, not doing travel nurse assignment, actually getting some experience with aging so that I could be a travel nurse. I went to about 15 facilities, kind of ranging from long-term care clinics, mental health facilities, which I really enjoyed. I would love to do that again. My recruiter's name is Caitlin. She's awesome. She really answered every question that I could have possibly had, from, the pay to different types of facilities that I could work in as an LPN, because it is much different than working as an RN. Prior to doing travel nursing, I did vascular surgery for 5 years, and it was awesome. I was a tech in a hospital. It was actually a magnet hospital, Albany Medical Center. Love that place. And then I worked for a couple of different places with vascular surgery. Some of the coolest physicians I've ever met.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll just get right into it then. We do have a list of questions that we can go over today that a lot of people are curious to know about what we do. Okay, so we'll go into the questions. I guess the way that we should maybe do this is I'll just read the question, and if you really feel passionate about answering it, just start and we can click on you. And if not, we'll just let everybody say a little bit about it. The first question is, how much experience do you need in travel nursing?
I know with us being an LPN, I was told about 2 years of experience. Different people that I've talked to, they've got 6 months experience, and then all of a sudden they're looking into different travel nursing positions and they obtain one like that. So I feel like it really has a wide variety of ranges. So what do you guys think?
I would think, I think it depends on the person. I think 6 months minimum, but it really depends on how, strong you feel in your clinical skills. So if after a year you feel ready, then, I would say look into it. I think I waited 2 years before going into travel nursing, and I definitely felt ready, felt confident that, I can basically handle anything that sort of came my way.
Absolutely.
Nice. I think my answer to that is pretty simple. It's about, and Patricia, you hit the nail on the head. It's about the person and your experiences. From a contractual standpoint, our hospitals actually typically require 1 year of experience to work for a facility. And they want that 1 year of experience because they want people that are going to come in and hit the ground running in their facility, and they're not going to have to train that much because they rely on travel nurses to help in times of staffing crisis. They rely when they don't have enough nurses. So, if you think about it, putting a new grad in a situation where a hospital is in a crisis or might have a deficit from a staffing ratio standpoint, it doesn't really make sense. So I always, our hospital contracts require 1 year of experience. Now, I'll be the first one to say that we've placed nurses with less experience from time to time, but that's only when there's a demand spike or a hospital is very desperate or a hospital has a really, really great unit that they know they have the infrastructure that they can actually handle one of those new grads or somebody with a little bit less experience. But it goes back. I think the thing is, it goes back to the people. It goes back to the individual person. Are they dynamic enough to handle those different environments?
What opportunities then are there in travel nursing for new graduates? I think I can speak a little bit to this one, just considering I work with a lot of new grads. I do a lot of keynote speeches for brand new graduates or nursing students that are still in school. And I think that the opportunities that I hope that we provide for them here and through what I do is that they can start to see what travel nursing is. They can start to look at different agencies. They can start to do research and collect information on what travel nursing is. But then they can also start to really hunker down on their specialty and pick which one they really love and then get some experience from there. But they can start the process early so that they're not, put on any sort of pauses or any sort of setbacks in their travel nursing journey when they are ready to begin that.
I think that's a really good point, Kelly, and it's all about, if you have a goal of traveling, writing down your goals as a new grad, saying, I'm going to start traveling after a year, I'm going to start doing it after 2 years, and then setting your goals to go after that. If you want to do it, I always tell everybody, set your goal, go after those dreams of traveling the country, because it's an absolutely incredible experience of traveling. And I'll go right to Patricia and kind of go offhand here, and then I'll go to Brittany. But how many people? Tell me about some of the great personalities that you've met in your journeys in travel nursing, and do you still keep in touch with a lot of those people?
Oh, for sure. And we're still linked through Facebook. Some of us have become friends outside of the work environment, even after leaving that city. And so if anything, it's just great networking. If you're looking to move back to the area permanently and you already know the manager, that you can make a quick call, like, hey, you remember me? I was a traveler there 6 months or last year. Do you have anything available? Things like that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great.
Brittany, your thoughts?
I agree, actually, completely with the whole, you get to know managers, you really get to kind of make an impression on not only a lot of different patients and do great care for them, but with the facility and staff. I think it's really important to really give your all when it comes to not only travel nursing, but just nursing in general, because you're kind of setting a path for yourself for your whole future.
Great.
And this next one's actually pretty easy. We can just go right back to you, Patricia. The next question is, how did you choose your agency?
Oddly enough, I read a lot of travel nursing blogs. And just because I didn't know many nurses that did it personally, which really sparked me to do videos about travel nursing on YouTube, because I assumed there are a lot of nurses like me that didn't know another nurse that, you know, did travel nursing. And so I read blogs and, you know, read other people's experiences and then kind of narrowed it down to a few and then contacted those agencies and talked to recruiters.
Great.
You, Brittany?
So I actually, working at Albany Med, I met a gentleman named Nell. I was like 19, I think, at the time. I'm 26 now. He gave me such great insight of what agencies to kind of work with, which ones would have opportunities for LPNs, because he knew that I was going in that direction. And then a couple years later, as an LPN, I was working in dialysis, and I met a woman who is here in Arizona as well. I can't wait to meet up with her at some point. She kind of gave me a lot of insight.
Nice. And one of the, just to hit on that from an agency standpoint, read about the experience of that company, make sure that they are Joint Commission certified, make sure, you know, talk, network through your other colleagues that you know, other travelers, get on Facebook. There's so much information out there about the agency, and there's so many reviews. Just look it online, trust your colleagues, and talk to the companies and see where they're at. If you can't find information out there on the company, or you see some negative stuff, you know, typically my word of advice is to dig a little deeper and find out what's really going on, because it's truly, as a travel nurse, it's your choice to work for any company that you want. No one in our industry owns any nurses. You have the freedom to do what you want. You want to go out there and really check out. There's tons of great review websites out there for travel nursing. So you just go out there and find out who's the best. And from my standpoint as an agency, as the partner in this agency, I know that that's how I watch those reviews all the time to make sure that we're doing a good job. I want the travel nurses to have a voice so we can hear about what we're doing good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you're looking at travel nursing agencies, it's really important to do the review thing and to make sure that you're doing your research on what other people say about the agency, because what's different about us in travel nursing is that our nurses are not just signing up for a job, they're signing up for an experience, and that's something that agency has to be able to offer them as well. Right. I
That's a
agree.
really good point, Kelly.
Thank you. Okay, is it harder to find a travel nursing assignment for one specialty over another? And you know a lot about jobs. So is it tough? What specialties should these nurses that are looking to go into traveling, should they need to have one, or what's the competition?
I'd say, and feel free, Patricia and Brittany, to chime in, but I'd say, you know, your highest acuity, the higher the acuity, the more likelihood that you're going to get a job, because there's more specialized skills there. ICU, CVICU, Tele, ER, all of those things. There's always jobs, especially for tele and ICU, and working nights is typically, that's going to be your highest demand areas to get jobs in travel nursing, because there's always, you know, because especially, and I'm not sure what all of our viewers know about California and the nursing ratios. We're one of the only states that has mandatory nursing ratios. So the demand is going to be a lot higher in California, and that's also why our wages are a lot higher than travel nursing out here, because we have mandatory staffing ratios that all of our hospitals have to abide by. So, you know, the demand is there. ICU, ER, telemetry, labor and delivery. Sorry, I forgot about all those great labor nurses out there. There's tons of babies being born in America now, so great. We need great labor nurses. So I'll stop and I'll pass it over to Patricia or Brittany, and you guys can maybe talk a little bit about demand and where you think is the easiest place to find a job.
I would say telemetry for me. I guess most of my experience was med-tele, but more so with remote monitoring, what we call soft tele. And so while I was traveling, though I was considered a telemetry nurse, I had to go back and get ACLS certified because most of the units required that. And I found that there were a lot more jobs in telemetry than there was, just medicine or med surge per se. And so I felt like that was an advantage for me to go back and get my ACLS or get ACLS certified, so that I would have more opportunities. That's a great point.
Nice. Patricia, one question. I've never heard the phrase soft tele before. Can you elaborate on that?
So soft tele would sort of be, this is the patient that is on a medicine floor that may be here for, syncope because they, passed out for whatever reason. So they're just monitoring them, usually for 24 hours. All their cardiac workup has probably been negative so far. It's a patient that's probably okay, but they're just watching, as opposed to like a cath patient or, MI patient, who came in for some, cardiac reason, who's on a drip and they're monitoring, something like that.
Great. Thank you so much. Brittany.
Hey guys, so I would say for LPNs, our highest demand is absolutely long-term care or nursing rehab. Mm-hmm. I kind of lucked out and got a mixture of the two. The facility I'm working at right now has 6 halls, 2 of which are rehab and 4 of which are long-term care. There's some clinics out there, they don't pay as well, obviously, but at the same time, you're still going to gain a lot of experience with the clinics. Like there's an oncology specialist. There was one that had to do with liver transplants, heart transplants. So you could definitely get a lot of different experience with clinics as well.
Okay, great. Moving right along. We want to know about housing. A lot of people have a ton of questions about housing. And one of our questions that came directly from a nurse who's already traveling is, do you recommend finding your own housing or having the agency do it for you?
I would say that it depends. When I came to New York, I decided to get my housing through my agency, only because there's just so much out here and it's easy, to get overwhelmed. And I wanted the process to be smooth and easy, as opposed to when I went to California, it was a little bit more, relaxed environment, and I felt comfortable enough to do that search on my own. So I went through both, and I must say, I don't really prefer one over the other. I just feel like for New York, it was intimidating. So I didn't want to make that an issue, so I just decided to go through the agency.
Nice. One question before we transfer, Patricia.
Yeah.
Which way, how do you make more money if you do it yourself, or if the company pays for it?
I definitely walked away with more money when I did it myself. There are definitely gems out there. My first contract, I was in St. Louis, and I was able to find a $900 studio, fully furnished, in the heart of Central West End. Right by all the universities, walking distance to a strip of bars and museums, and it was great. And I was able to find it on Craigslist, so I definitely walked away with a lot of money from that assignment because I wasn't paying as much for my stay.
Okay, nice. All right, Brittany, so I'm sure you have a lot to talk about with that beautiful home you live in right there.
Just my humble abode. So I'm paying for my RV right now, which is cool. But I also stay at campsites. We are currently, get this, staying in the 55 plus park and can't wait to get out of here. So but yeah, so they were really helpful, the agency, with helping me find different campsites, though I did do a lot of research myself. I'm a super organic, and I ended up finding some that were cheaper, so I am walking away with a little more money in my pocket.
That's great.
Oh,
That's awesome.
good.
Yeah, and from to hit on the agency standpoint a little bit, I think you both had some really good points. My advice always to travelers is do your research. There's so many different things. If you're going to do the housing yourself, do your research and verify the housing. I think last year we had one time here in Los Angeles where a nurse booked through Craigslist. It ended up being a scam, and she ended up losing some money. So, I think, I think there's positives to Craigslist. There's also negatives to Craigslist. You just have to be sure, like anything in life, you got to do your verifications. You got to understand what you're getting into, and know that there is some risk out there. And it's just like, when we check references on a nurse when they're starting to work for us, do your reference checks on the person you're renting from. Make sure everything's legitimate. But doing your housing yourself, I think the headache factor can go up a little bit. But it's a balance of money versus headache. Or if you want just a lot of times I tell those first-time travelers out there that interact with our company, let us take care of your housing so you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to have headaches about housing. You can focus on your job. And when you get better at traveling and it's not as hard to get into that hospital, do the orientation, and you're really confident, then add a little bit more on your plate, so then you can make a little bit more money. And it's like everything in life. I think we all strive to get better and better at it. So that's really the case there. It's money versus headache, and once you get better and better at it and more confident, you can find those great, amazing places like Patricia found in St. Louis.
How do you feel nurses are treated in the hospital as travelers? We've kind of heard both ends. We've heard myths about travelers not being welcome because they're about to leave, and so it's tough for people to get close to them. And we've heard of many of our travelers who make lifelong friendships. So what do you think about that?
I must say that I never had a negative experience, and I've heard some horror stories, but it's never been my experience. I've always been treated well. On the contrary, when I was working in California, I can remember one particular time where there was a complicated patient. I'll use the word complicated. And, the charge nurse was like, let's not give that one to Patricia. Let's do a switch. We'll give this one to this person, and, we'll do, And so I thought that was very thoughtful, of her, because, they didn't have to do that, And I even told her, I was like, I can pull my weight. It's fine. They're like, we know this patient. We already know how they are, what they want when they're here. So, let's just take this one and we'll give you another patient. So I thought that was really kind, really thoughtful. And that's really been my experience across the board.
That's great.
I honestly think that if you're going in there and you're giving it your all, you're there to help those people because they are short-staffed. So they actually appreciate your help. And at the facility I'm at right now, it's called Palmview. The CNAs have been awesome, super helpful, because I have probably 75% of my population is Spanish speaking. I don't even speak a lick Spanish. So they've been interpreting for me. They've been great. I do get the hard patients sometimes, and sometimes they're really nice to me and give me one of the easy floors. But, like I said, you're there to help them, and they do appreciate that.
Nice.
Do you get lonely while traveling? And if so, how do you combat that? Brittany, I guess that we'll start with you on this one because it might be different for you since you're traveling with your fiance.
Yep, and our 2 dogs. So I will say that we really missed home over the holidays. It was funny, for Thanksgiving we did these 2 little Cornish game hens because we don't have a big enough oven to cook a turkey. but we called our parents and did some Skype with them, but it really does stink to not be home on the holidays. So we just are planning vacations to go home and visit. But being with each other is really helpful. I couldn't imagine doing this on my own. I give you guys a lot of credit.
Nice.
Patricia?
Well, I guess I'm the type of person that is very social anyway. So it just gave me the opportunity just to go out and to meet people. And I also was blessed enough to know someone everywhere that I traveled. And so I always had like one person where, I could call, and say, hey, I'm here, what's going on, how's life here? So I always had someone I could reference. But after my second assignment, I did get, kind of like missing home. And so I just got an assignment where my parents were for 3 months. And I did that through the holidays. So I was with them for Thanksgiving, New Year's, and Christmas. And that hasn't happened since I was a kid. So since I, was in college. So that's what I did.
That's really good.
It's really special. Okay, the last question. Can you break down a pay package for our viewers? What does it include, and why are travelers typically making more than staff nurses?
Yeah, I can start off, and I can go over the elements of a travel nurse's pay, and then you guys can elaborate a little bit more on that, and maybe break down your pay package. Not obviously dollar and cents, but really part of the elements. I know that I'll probably miss something, but to get started, I always like to start with the big picture. You have your total salary, and let's say that's $65 an hour. A portion of that's going to be housing, a portion of that's going to be meals and incidentals, and then a portion of that is going to be your taxable wage. The key on your meals and incidentals and your housing, if you are taking if you're taking stipend and doing your own housing, you need to be weary and go on to the gsa.gov website and make sure that the money that you're making hour by hour in tax-free wage is not being overpaid to you. As one of the owners of this company, we have controls in place to where our recruiters aren't able to pay any nurse above their taxable amount per the gsa.gov website and the daily per diems. But there are companies out there that don't have those controls in place, and just make sure that I feel like a broken record, but do your research, make sure that you're setting it up right, make sure, if you have an accountant and you're getting your pay, ask about the tax-free money, ask to make sure you're not getting overpaid from a tax standpoint, because the last thing you want to do is work for a whole year and be getting paid too much money from a tax-free standpoint. And then Uncle Sam comes knocking at the door in April and you don't have that money because you bought a new handbag or you bought a new pair of shoes or a new car. So that's not tax-free. You just got to be careful. It's do your research, know what you're getting into, be careful. But getting back to the elements of a pay package, you have your taxable wage and your tax-free wage, and then you can get bonuses. Companies will reimburse you for certain things. Your CPR cards, your ACLS, your BLS, all of the physical stuff that you have to do, your TB shots, all the stuff you have to do to be certified to walk into a hospital. And then getting into the other stuff is the softer benefits like healthcare. The other benefits like a 401k, does the company match? So there's a lot of different elements on it. And there's a lot of tools out there. That companies have that will show you, what your pay package really is, and make sure that you're not getting paid too much tax-free money, and that you are getting the best pay package. And I always tell all nurses, read some negotiation articles. Be a good negotiator to make sure that your pay is exactly what you're getting, and you're getting paid for what you're worth, because you are a nurse, you are going into a hospital, and you are taking care of patients, and you should be getting paid top dollar for what you're doing. And that's my 2 cents about the elements of a pay package.
Yay! Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you covered it all, man.
Yeah. Pretty good at that. Well, awesome. Well, that is the very first roundtable for us four. That was really awesome. Just reiterate that. Thank you both so much for joining us. We're really excited about this. We're excited about it being a resource tool for all the other people who are looking to travel and all of our nurses that are already traveling. So it's great to get both of your perspective, as all of us four are really having different experiences with the travel nursing industry. So it's great to have all the different opinions come together. So thank you guys so much. We're excited for number 2.
Yes, thank you so much. Good job today.
We'll see you next time. See ya.
All right. Bye.